You're afraid of dying. And tell me, is the life you lead any different to already being dead? Now, I'm not trying to be morbid here. And if you felt yourself trying to run a mile just at the utterance of those words, then perhaps you are right where you need to be listening to this talk. I am, of course, quoting Seneca, the ancient Stoic philosopher who understood the temporary nature of life, who believed that, I suppose, if we were to embrace impermanence, the temporary nature of all things, that we would truly be able to live up to our potential, that we would be able to live that life we were meant to lead, that we are able to experience true freedom. If you feel that you're living a life that you're not meant to be living, you feel restricted or inhibited by some exterior force, do you maybe feel that there's something stopping you from being who you're truly meant to be? Then there's one thing I want to share with you in this talk that if you embrace it, I hope it might move you that degree bit closer to living how you're truly meant to live. Hi guys, Calvin again. Bronnie Ware, Australian palliative care nurse. She stood by people's side time after time as they were dying. And she published a book on the top 5 regrets people have when they're dying. Do you know what the top regret was, according to Bronnie Ware? People regret not living their life as the people they were truly meant to be, and instead living their lives as others wanted them to live. We go through our whole lives afraid to be who we are, afraid to live life on our own terms. Sometimes we don't even know what living our life on our own terms means or is. Because, as I've mentioned, and if you've seen all my other videos, we have fallen out of touch with our inner voice. But the main thing is that people wait until the moment of death to have regrets. Now, life is abundant with opportunities for us to come closer to our truth, to live more in alignment with who we're truly meant to be, and no one can tell you who that is but yourself. But what I can say, and I just want to qualify this by saying, we aren't talking here when we mean living life on our own terms in a very selfish way, to the point where we care about no one else and we do nothing else. I'm sure you probably agree that living life as who you are truly meant to be on your own terms really includes sharing, kindness, giving, compassion, inclusion. Because we are part of a collective, as a social species, we probably become even more loving and compassionate and inclusive when we're living life as we are truly meant to be. Or, in other words, reaching our truest potential or actualizing. No one can tell you who that is except for you. But you know what I find fascinating about this? And by the way, I can't quote any research to validate that I believe that to be true other than my own internal reference system. And check in with your own internal reference system as well to see if you accept that as true. That if you are living life on your own terms as you truly meant to be, as you really ought to be, that it is one of compassion, inclusion, kindness, and so on. But I find it really fascinating that we should wait until the point of death to really reflect on these moments. Which really brings me back to the point why I mentioned Seneca in the first place, because we have this fear of death itself. So the one thing that I really want to address then is the nature of impermanence. Death and the way Seneca talks about embracing that. You know, if you're living in a way that is not in accordance with truly living to your highest values, to your truest self, living up to your potential. Is the way you're living right now any different from being dead? Then the question then becomes, what is that death pointing to? What does that even mean? Death, is it a real thing? I want to talk about how that points for me towards the nature of impermanence. So, if we can step away from the morbidity and our associations with death as a terrible thing, then let's look at it from a point of impermanence. Angela Duckworth, she did a fantastic talk about grit in 2013. And you can find this on the internet, where she talks about the ever present quality in people who truly succeed in life and how that differs to IQ and how that differs to how we achieve in school and who does the best in our particular class and so on. She talks about the nature of grit and what that means, that passion and perseverance for the long term. But do you know what the fundamental underlying quality she found about grit was? That the children who saw their own failure saw it as temporary. They saw it as temporary. Which leads me back then to impermanence. Because impermanence points to the temporary nature of all experiences. What we perceive to be good and what we perceive to be bad. And even those great, wonderful, amazing experiences that we have, you will notice that you reflect on the best times in your life and you will see they are already in the past. This is not to say that more amazing experiences will not come. But in this moment, right now, if I ask you to reflect on the most amazing moments of your life, the ones that you really wish that you could have again, you would see that they're probably in your memory bank. If you're living your most amazing life right now in this very moment, then great. You are living life right now on your terms. You are living in the present moment and seizing the now. But if you find that that's somewhere in your past, then you will see, just as anybody who's living in the present moment will see, that even that itself is temporary. And this is why I want to talk about impermanence. And as impermanence as a thing or a principle that we can really, wrap around ourselves and use it as a cloak of comfort, to know that even the toughest moments, the most challenging moments, are also going to come to an end. And likewise, so will life itself as we perceive it. So as we embrace the impermanence of all things, or as we've heard before, the only thing permanent is impermanence. The only permanent thing is change. If we embrace the nature of impermanence as best as we can right now, as best as we can in this moment, and that's a key point to make, even if you embrace impermanence as a principle, as a concept, and as a true reality, eventually a little bit more, then we find a little bit more freedom. We find a little bit more space to live on our own terms. We're able to embrace the temporary nature of our existence as we see it and live the life that we truly want to live. We let the light that is inside of us shine out for everyone else to see. You may know that I'm an advocate for mindfulness meditation. You may know from watching all of my other talks that I am one who believes that we all have a voice inside, and we only really need to listen to it, that I call the true inner narrator. Or as Shel Silverstein said in his poem, there is a voice inside that whispers all day long. I know that this is right. And I know that this is wrong. No preacher, teacher, parent, or friend can decide what is right for you. Just listen to the voice inside. Inside of each and every one of us, there is a voice that speaks, and that voice wants to express itself and for us to live our truest potential and life on our own terms, to leave the impact in the world that we ought to live. But we have to relinquish or release our ideas of permanence, of attachment to things that aren't really going to be here forever anyway, including our interpretation of our lives as a permanent thing, including how we perceive, shall we say, our life itself. So that's my key takeaway. Embrace the temporary nature of all things and ride the temporary nature of each wave like a surfer would ride a wave to the shore. And as that wave goes, you ride another one, because even the wave is temporary, even the surfer is temporary, and even the experience is temporary. So take that away as a takeaway for today. All things that are born will die, and all things that begin must come to an end. And because nothing is permanent, we can be free to express ourselves in the moment as best as we can and to our highest truth at any given time, so that we don't get to our dying day and have regrets of not living the life how we wanted to live it. And so, or as Seneca says, we are no longer afraid to die, and so we can live, truly live. Thank you so much for watching my video. Please like if you found it useful, subscribe, share, and if there's anything you want me to talk about in a future video, leave it in the comments below. See you next time. Bye for now.